Of course, as per usual, I make an update video about something new regarding this new book. And then there is a ton of updates released in the form of D&D Beyond interviews with Todd Kenrick and Matt Mercer. I'm going to do a very quick recap of everything they discussed in the course of like 6 videos. So if you want to see what that's all about, stay tuned. So one thing that's on me for not actually checking ahead of time was the Critical Role, critroll.com / all the stuff about this. I'll put this link in the description as well, where they did actually dive into things a little bit further. So we can take a look at what's here, and then I can extrapolate from there. So here's a full list, which one thing was brought up, and thank you to everyone who brought this up on the Nerd Immersion Discord, which, by the way, there's a link for that in the description as well, if you're curious. But Matt actually stated in one of the videos, and I think it may be stated here as well, that about half of the art, and I mentioned I was curious in the last video that I made as well, whether some of this would be written by, or the art would be done by the Critical Role community. And you can actually see here that these are all a list of artists that provided art for the book. And they also state here that the maps are provided by Devin Rue, which is fantastic. But anyway, 304 pages, we knew that, 4 new starting adventures, but here it lists 3 brand new subclasses, Echo Knight, Chronorgist, and Graviturgist, and I will describe those in a little bit further detail shortly. Now, one thing that a lot of people are questioning, and I agree with this as well, is the fact that it states 3 brand new subclasses. Does that mean that we are only getting those 3 brand new subclasses? Or is it just stating that there are 3 new ones? Would we be getting something like the Cobalt Soul Monk that Beauregard, Maurice Ray are playing in the current campaign 2, which was released in the Taldore campaign guide? As we've seen with Matt's kind of free updates on the internet, that needed a lot of reworking because it was very early. Do we need to, or will we be getting that, or are we only getting these 3 brand new subclasses, or is it just calling them out that they're new? A lot of people are also wondering about the Gunslinger class that he released as well. A guide to Dunamancy magic, including Dunamantic spells, which would be the idea of manipulating probability and time and things of that nature, so that explains what the new spells are. 23 brand new creatures for your heroes to encounter, so now we know the number of new monsters. Descriptions for brand new magic items, including Wildemount's legendary Vestiges of Divergence. We'll talk about that. An extensive breakdown of the Wildemount Pantheon, featuring idols and demigods that exist outside of the Pantheon, so that would explain probably things like Critical Role's version of the Traveler and Ukatoa and all that kind of stuff. A breakdown of the major and minor factions found in Wildemount and important figures within each faction, and a gazetteer replete with locations familiar to Critical Role fans, alongside curious locales only hinted at in a bygone era. And you can actually see some of the cool art here, right? Like this is more than likely a vestige, right? Being held by this kind of lich-looking king. Here we've got, here's, I don't know, that's just like some crazy arcano-mechanical Iron Man armor kind of a thing. A lot of cool stuff here. So, what do we know about these new subclasses? Well, they're all Dunamantic-based subclasses in a way or another. We know that the Echo Knight is a fighter subclass, and the Chronorgist and Graviturgist are wizard tradition subclasses. So the Echo Knight is a fighter, and the whole concept, I'm paraphrasing here, but basically it sounds like in alternate timelines and other realities, there are other versions of you that exist, and then if that pathway didn't happen, they're reabsorbed by the universe. No one's unfamiliar with the concept of alternate reality versions of you in another dimension, but what the Echo Knight, from what I can understand, seems to be able to do is, rather than manipulating Dunamis in a arcane manner, you're manipulating it in a martial manner, so you're actually pulling forth an echo of yourself, hence Echo Knight, from another timeline and asking them or using them to fight alongside you. In what ways? I'm not sure, but it sounds like one of the more than likely higher level things is essentially making a shadow clone of yourself. So if you're familiar with Naruto and the idea of making a shadow clone version of yourself, that sounds like that's basically what it's allowing you to do. What level version of shadow clone it is, like is it a fully function, has your weapons, can fight? Is it something like you call forth a shadow clone and it just gets you advantage on an attack roll? I don't know, but that's what that class is. Chronergist, I think you can kind of guess what that is, but that's the idea of a time control wizard. So you are being able to do things like speed up time to improve initiative, freeze time to basically almost like a hold person someone, slow down time, haste, slow, that kind of a thing. So that's your Chronergist subclass. And your Graviturgist, I'm sure you can also guess, is the manipulation of gravity. Doing things like lessening gravity so you or your party could jump long distances because the gravity is less on you. Increasing gravity so that it's hard for enemies to move. Expediting gravity, so if someone's swinging with a weapon and you're swinging with all your strength bringing a sword down, but then they increase the gravity of the sword, it makes it heavier and it drops faster and does more damage. And I think Matt said one of the high level things is you become a singularity and basically a gravity well of yourself pulling things to you. Or maybe you can even expel them if you can reverse gravity. So, and I wouldn't be surprised if one of the things is like you add reverse gravity as a spell to your spell list, that kind of a thing. So those are the 3 new subclasses. Whether or not we're going to get a subclass, the previous kind of subclasses that we've seen, like the Blood Domain Cleric or the Gunslinger or the Cobalt Soul Monk, I don't think so. But we could. It doesn't state that we're not. It doesn't state that we're only getting 3 brand new subclasses. It just states them. The Dunamantic spells, if you're a careful eye and you watch what Caleb uses and what he's learned in the course of the campaign 2, I'm going to assume that's kind of what we're seeing there. Fortune's Favor and those couple other things that he's kind of got, the rerolls, the improved initiative kind of spells. I think there's one that also lets you do like an echo kind of a thing. That's a spell that does that as well. 23 brand new creatures. Matt goes over a couple. It sounds like there's going to be a bunch of fiendish options. I think he said the Udak is like a 4-armed gorilla type creature. Sounds sort of like a Gorillon or maybe like a Glabrezu. I don't know. But that is a fiendish type monster. He also mentioned, I don't remember the exact name, but a type of nautical basilisk creature, a large serpentine, aquatic creature that it secretes a slime that when things touch it, it turns it to stone. That's where it got the name basilisk. So there's going to be a bunch of new monsters as well. So that sounds pretty interesting. A lot of this idea of things that were left over from the Age of Arcanum, which was the kind of major event in the Critical Role timeline where the gods left and they kind of things from the before times. So that sounds like that's going to be what a lot of the new monsters are. And there was a short video regarding the Vestiges of Divergence. I finally got the official terminology. I didn't go look it up. It was in that video. But there's 3 stages of the Vestiges. And I talked about them in pretty good length in the last video. But the idea of they are in a dormant form, an awakened form, and an ascended form, I think is what it is. Maybe I've switched those. But essentially, or exalted is one of them. I think awakened and exalted, I think is what it is. So it's still that idea of you get a cool magic weapon or magic item at a certain level, and then when you do things and sort of reawaken its magic, it grows with you. And he specifically stated in the video that not all the Vestiges of Divergence were made by good gods. So we saw that in Campaign 1, we saw almost exclusively good god vestiges that the party eventually acquired in Campaign 1. Not all of them, but they acquired some to bolster their strength to help them do what they needed to do in Campaign 1. So he's saying we may explore, not entirely all evil ones, but a lot of evil vestiges, which give you the opportunity to give them to an enemy, to a villain, to kind of increase the villain's power, potentially to have the party struggle with whether they should or should not use these items because of the fact that they are evil. Todd Kenrick in the video brought up the idea of maybe getting someone to play one of the vestiges as making it more like a sentient item. That's something as well. So I just wanted to do a quick follow-up because I know a lot of people did message me and tell me, by the way, did you see this? And the comments on the last video were people telling me we already figured out what the subclasses are. And then a lot of back and forth of I'm bummed because we might only get these classes, not old classes, that kind of thing. A lot of people still clamoring for the Blood Hunter, which I am still planning to do a video on the Blood Hunter because people want me to go over and just sort of review the Blood Hunter again, kind of like a reintroduction to the Blood Hunter, if you will. I played one for 17 levels. That campaign is currently in stasis, so I may review it as well. So I do have a pretty good understanding of the class, so I can talk to it pretty well. So let me know what you guys think. I hope I did a good enough job summarizing what took 6 different videos to do. I also, personal preference, I just don't like Todd Kenrick's interview style. It was kind of cringy for me to watch those videos. I don't know, it just bothers me on a personal level. But anyway, Matt was really excited about it, and, you know, I hope these new classes... I'm excited about the Echo Knight, probably. I like wizards a lot, but they have the most subclasses of any class out there, and to give them 2 more... and then to make your chronomancy and your gravity mancer kind of a thing, cool, but I don't think Wizards needs more stuff. I think other classes desperately need more subclasses, like Barbarians, for example, kind of have not a ton of options, and some of them aren't great. But I'm curious about the Echo Knight. I wonder if you could live up to your Naruto dreams and summon your Shadow Clone, and then maybe you could do some interesting combinations of Fighter Rogue to make yourself literally a ninja, which could be kind of fun. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below about all of this stuff. Thank you for putting up with my barrage of new update videos for this book. I just want to make sure I'm covering it in depth as best I can, so all of you guys can stay up to date and don't have to sift through a bunch of places on the internet to find all this stuff. Again, I will put a link in the description to the Critical Role page if you want to go check that out over there. And yeah, by the way, it's the 14th, so the 15th, tomorrow, is the last day, 11:59 p.m. is the last day to enter our 10K giveaway to win a bunch of awesome 5e stuff. I'll put a link for that in the description below as well if you want to enter. It's not too late, and yeah. Anyway, guys, I will see you next time.